Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my review of Raya and the Last Dragon, the newest Disney Pixar film to have just recently come out. At least I think it's Pixar as well. Is it Pixar? No, I think it's just Disney actually. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page here. So I saw this with my sister because she wanted to see it, and I really enjoyed it. Uh, I don't know where I would place it comparatively to other stuff like Coco and Moana and the Frozen movies, but I really liked it. And I've heard that this is a very divisive film. Some people really like it, some people don't, and then there's others who are just kind of in the middle who liked it but also found notable issues with it. And I've seen reviews and people talking about all of it, all every side. So I'm just going to give my quick thoughts. There will be spoilers. Saying that right off the bat, there will be spoilers. If you have not yet seen Raya and the Last Dragon, I would suggest checking it out. It is on Disney Plus or in theaters currently. So, that being said, and for those who might want to watch it on Disney Plus, there is an extra charge. Just letting you know, it will be free on Disney Plus in the summer, I believe. Um, but moving on. So the film centers around this like kind of alternate world. Like a lot of these films do. Some of them centered around more realistic worlds, but let's be honest, most of these types of films, animated movies and whatnot, tend to be their own world, their own countries and continents and stuff. In this one, the people of the land had been fighting. They had been losing their trust in each other and had just started to split apart. This discontent bred this miasma like creature. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's like Droon or something like that. But it's this miasma like creature that turns people into stone. Or, well, anything and anyone, I guess. In order to help defeat it, the dragons team together and sacrifice themselves to create this dragon gem. And the last dragon, Sisu, is the one who used the gem after all of her family had been turned to stone to just completely seal away the dream. And in the many, many, many years in the past, she was sealed away by the. Or this was many years in the past. This was like 500 years, I think, in the past. Um, she was sealed away as well. And then 500 years or so later, Raya, a young princess of the Heartland, the entire continent had further split apart, and the people of the land had split the entire thing into five different lands, five different countries, basically, each run by their own kind of laws and their own kind of ideals, and all of them not really liking each other. But yeah, Raya is the princess of the Heartland and is training to become the guardian of the Dragon Gem, which the Heartland holds on to, much to the dislike of the other lands. She ends up meeting the princess of one of the other lands, the Fangland, and although they seem to be hitting it off, it ends up going south when the princess of the Fangland, named Namari, by the way, ends up betraying her after finding the Dragon Gem. And this ends up causing the Dragon Gem to break, releasing the Droon, and causing like, a mass wave of people turning to stone, a mass sense of destruction. So Raya has to go on the journey to find the last dragon, Sisu, and to save the land and the people who had been turned to stone, which includes her father. So that's just the general early synopsis. There's a lot more to the film, obviously, than just that. So let's talk about it, kind of breaking it down. Let's talk about the characters. So Raya is the main character, and she kind of reads as this very fierce, very brave, very just strong-willed warrior princess character. In a way, she reminds me of Korra from The Legend of Korra, and not just because her design, especially when she's a kid, looks very much like Korra, although it very much does. But it's not just because of that. Her personality and everything, her stubbornness at points throughout the movie, very much kind of remind me of Korra on her own journey. And she even has like this kind of like spirit pet in a way, except in this case, it's not a spirit per se. It's this kind of armadillo creature. Its name is Tuk Tuk, and it's voiced by Alan Tudyk because why the fuck not? I mean, the only white person in the film, and he voices an animal because it's Alan fucking Tudyk. um, but yeah, she very much reminds me of Korra. Then you have kind of her counterpart, Namari, the princess of the Fangland. Namari is kind of billed as one of the antagonists of the film, but you can see right away, like right from the flashback scene at the beginning, that she is not a bad guy. And you see that as we see them as adults as well. She's very much not evil. Her ambitions and her ideals are fully rooted in helping her people and just protecting the Fangland in every way possible. She wants to do what she can for her people, for her family, and that's respectable. It's just she's going about it kind of the wrong way. Um, she also is a warrior princess and has a lot of combative skills. We see her and Raya clash at multiple times throughout the movie, and every time it's fantastic. The fight scenes are great. But also, we see their ideals clash. While Raya is more wanting to try and restore everything, her main focus is her father for fairly obvious reasons. And on the other hand, Namari doesn't really wish to restore everything. Her main goal is just to protect her home. So they kind of play off of each other really well. Raya is a lot more free spirited. She's a little more cocky, a little more sassy at times, while Namari's a lot more serious and intense and takes things very, like, well, seriously. um, but there is one thing that connects them throughout the film, and that is like right from the beginning of the film, before any dragon is introduced, we find out that they both very much adore dragons, that they love the lore and history behind them, and just the idea of dragons, and it's kind of like their goal to see one. Um, so let's talk about that. So the next character I want to talk about is Sisu, the last dragon of the title. Sisu is a character I was really worried about going in because although her design is great, I was worried about personality wise. Um, and it's just like from the trailer that I saw, her personality almost felt like it was going to be a little too much, but thankfully it wasn't. I actually really loved her character. She was a very big light of hope in the group, which I'll get to the rest of the group in a moment. Um, but like there's points in the movie where Raya is very like lacking in hope and trust, and Sisu's kind of there to guide her back into it. Um, she's very silly and goofy and fun loving, but she's also very much a voice of reason. And it's kind of weird seeing that she's this goofy character, but is the voice of reason. Um, and I do like that. There's also Boone, who is a 10-year-old shrimp boat chef and owner. Um, they end up meeting him while traveling to the tail land, and he is smooth and sassy and suave as hell, and I love it. But he also has a lot of depth to him as well, having lost his family to the Droon as well. So he joins them on their adventure, and he definitely delivers a good heart to it. But I'll be honest, he doesn't do too much during a lot of the film. During some big action sequences, he has a couple good moments, but he's not like the best character or anything in the film. And there's a lot of characters, so they have a lot to balance, and I get that. So it doesn't bother me too much, but just noting. You also have Tong, and Tong is definitely one of my favorites. Tong is like this warrior guy, like this big, tough warrior guy from the Spine Land, and the only survivor in the Spine Land. And at first, he seems like just this big, scary, tough guy, but then you actually find out that he, as like just like everyone, is missing his family who was turned to stone, including a baby. He had a baby, a child that he loved and cared for, and he ends up bringing a lot of heart and depth that I did not expect from his character, and I just really ended up falling in love with him. And he's this gentle giant almost, but he is very much a very strong warrior character too, and it's kind of good to see that kind of balance there, because a lot of times the gentle giants that you see in a lot of these shows or movies or whatnot, they don't like to fight, but he does. He loves to fight, but he's also a good guy, and I like that. Um, and then the other member of the team is Noi, I believe it's pronounced. I'm not sure exactly. But she is honestly the weakest character in this film for me, and the one thing that drags it down. Amongst everything else in this movie, she is definitely the one thing that really bothers me. See, Noi is an infant con artist from the Talon Land, because the entire idea is that the Talon Land is like this kind of lawless place. Everyone there is con artists. You're going to get your stuff stolen, pickpocketed, all that shit. That's fine. And I get the joke they're going for with introducing a baby who would do that. Like, I get the joke, but I hate it. I hate when infant characters are portrayed as being too smart. Outside of the fact that she can't speak like full sentences or anything like that, this character has the ability to form adult level rational thought, and that's too much for me. I cannot handle that kind of thing. It does bother me in any movie, show, whatever. Babies that just have that level of rational thought, I can't get behind that. It's not funny to me, and it's not entertaining. I don't like it. And the thing is, she also has like a group of like monkeys that follow her around, and if it were just the monkeys, it would have been perfect. I would have been fine with that. But the fact that they do use the infants who has just like stupid levels of adult intelligence for being a literal infant makes no sense. Though I do like that Tong connects with her because of his own baby that had been turned to stone and everything. I do like that factor. There's other characters in it too, such as Raya's father and Namari's mother and everything, but none of the other characters have a huge role to play. Namari's mother is mostly there to kind of play off of Namari and give her more depth, but she doesn't have too much to her on her own. And kind of the same with Raya's father. He's more of a goal for Raya to reach in the end. And it's like they're fine, like in terms of their personality, their beliefs, their ideals, and all of that. But there's not enough of them because the movie's not centered on them. And then there's various other random characters here and there. Um, so let's move on. The art and animation like Disney just keeps getting better and better at that. So not really much else to say about that. It's just amazing. The voice acting is all good on every level. Kelly Marie Tran is fantastic as Raya. Aquafina is just perfect as Sisu, and even down to I'm going to mispronounce her name. I feel, but is it Gemma Chan or is it Gemma? I don't know. I apologize, but I'm gonna say Gemma Chan as Namari. She's amazing. She does the role perfectly. You have Daniel Day Kim in it, Benedict Wong, and so many others, and they just all really sell the characters really well. Um, More so than a lot of these other Disney movies lately. Like of all the things, it's like I like the voice acting, but they're not like as good as everything else in the film. This one, I would say it is. The sound score is the soundtrack, the score is nothing to write home about. It's nothing like phenomenal like it is in like Coco or anything. It's not a musical movie either. There's no like songs or anything. It's just kind of the score, the background music and stuff. It's nothing amazing, but it's not bad by any means. There's a couple scenes where it's really like it really hits well for the emotional impact, but that's about it. Um, the story itself of Raya's journey to complete the piece to get the complete dragon gem back, because when it was broken back when she was a child and it released the Drune, all the different members of the different nations all took pieces of it. So she has to go to every nation and gather it back up to try and combine it and stop the Drune and everything. And so the journey to get that throughout the film is really good, and we get to see all these different places. And I've heard a couple people, my sister included, saying the pacing is off. I disagree. I think the pacing was actually one of the highlights of the film. I think it handled it really well with all the different places they had to visit. It never felt like it was going too fast, but it also never felt like it was too slow. It felt like it spent the right amount of time in each place and the right amount of time, like, getting these new characters to join the team and everything. And even like the climax of the film near the end really feels like it was built up too well, and that everything just kind of feels like it naturally progressed to that point. Um, and the climax I could see also being a little divisive. From what I've heard of people talking about it and seen with people talking about it, again, all of this after, mind you, I watched the movie. I didn't watch any of the reviews beforehand, just letting you know. But a lot of people were a little weird on. There's this line at the end where it's like after there's like this big confrontation with Namari and everything, and she's starting to come over and starting to like believe in working with Raya and Sisu and all that, especially because she's just enamored by Sisu because of her love for dragons. Um, there's this point where she's still scared. She's still like trying to do what's best for her people, and she has this crossbow pointed at Sisu, and it looks like she's about to fire, but it also looks like she's not. Raya panics, attacks the crossbow, and it causes it to shoot off and uh, kill Sisu. And Sisu does end up coming back thanks to the other dragons once they're brought back. But yeah, the entire idea here is that afterwards, when Raya and Namari are fighting, Namari blames Raya for it, like basically saying like, "Oh, you're the one who killed Sisu and everything." And it's like, apparently, some people did not realize that it was Raya's fault. That Namari was going to clearly hold off, and it's like there's a couple people I've seen who reviewed the movie thought like it seemed weird that she would say that. And it's like no, it didn't, because that's what happened. And like I said, Raya reminds me of Korra, and that's one of the reasons, because she does these stubborn, bullheaded things for her own sake and doesn't really think about the consequences too well. Raya has to go through her own character arc in this, and she definitely has some parts where she's honestly just wrong. and she does the wrong thing. Um, in the end, though, they do manage to defeat and reseal the Droon. They manage to rescue the dragons. The dragons bring back Sisu. Everything works out well, and even all the nations come back together. And it's basically because of Raya and Namari finally patching things up after basically everything goes to shit. And the Droon is starting to just take everyone and turn them to stone. Um, but yeah, um, everything kind of goes to shit in the end. But they end up working together and they reunite the Dragon Gem, and it works. So overall, I would say that the biggest appeal of this film is definitely the story and characters. It definitely feels like something that Disney has not done with its recent animated movies and all. It feels something like something special and unique and interesting. A world kind of all its own. I've seen some people compare it to the world of Avatar slash Korra in terms of a lot of its style and ideas, but it's like, I don't really see it that much. Like, I can see comparing Raya to Korra as a character, but comparing it to the world of Avatar and Korra, I don't see that. Basically, their biggest thing that I've seen people say is because it has five different nations in it. Um, Much like there's four nations in Avatar. It's like that's a very big stretch to try and compare them with. Um, but yeah, overall, I very much enjoyed it. Again, I don't know where I would put it amongst all the other like Disney and Disney Pixar films that have come out in recent years. I don't know exactly where I would rank it amongst them. I'm gonna have to think about that a lot more, but I would definitely suggest seeing it if you haven't, and for some reason continued this review that had spoilers in it. Um, and if you have seen it, I would definitely love to hear your thoughts on it. If my sister hadn't wanted to see this with me, I would have probably reacted to it, and it would have been a fun reaction, honestly. But I'm still glad I got to see it. I'm still happy to be able to give you guys this review, nonetheless. So yeah, tell me in the comments below what did you think of Raya and the Last Dragon, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See you all next time.